Hi there, Elizabeth Barry. I am reminding you to get out of your own way, to go beyond ego, and to become authentically who you are, strong in your voice, and just loving the hell out of yourself every day. Well, how do you do that? I just wrote a book called The Kind Communicator, and it's about wisdom and empathy and compassion for many of us leaders who are living busy lives that tend to forget to breathe and tend to forget to take a few steps back before we respond to someone, and then we end up reacting. So I've been hosting these workshops on The Kind Communicator, and at my last workshop I received some papers with the most current communication challenges for the attendees, and I'll be answering them over this next couple weeks in this series. Today's obstacle written on this paper was someone who had hard time communicating about working with friends. I love this topic because I was there. Don't do it, but do it and learn from it, right? So I had a chance to work with a friend, and it was a journey. It was definitely a journey because I had already been working with that person, but I got into a business partnership, financially and otherwise, and it was definitely difficult and challenging to work with a friend because we don't often talk the same way because we don't want to hurt that person's feelings. So I think that also that experience for working with my friend for 2 years in a financial binding partnership with a contract and everything, after working with her for 15 years, but this time really binded, like we were like work wives. It was great, but it taught me more about kind communication. Maybe it played a role in the writing of my new book because I had to tiptoe a little bit further rather than talking straightforward. And I had to have a ton of patience. I was the over communicator. I was the one who was like, okay, on top of everything, and this partner was just not as communicative and wouldn't respond for days, or wouldn't respond to text for hours or days, or questions and hid, and those kind of things can really like tear you apart. We're lucky because we had so much respect and integrity for each other and who we were, that we were able to make it work. And I tend to think I have a huge part in that because I didn't allow. I respected and accepted myself for who I was, and my partner for who she was, and I wasn't surprised, right? It's like a therapy moment. You know when you go to therapy and you're telling them, well, he said this or she said that, and they're like, duh, you know that they're like this. And we have these moments where we're like, you know what, you're right. Why was I surprised and angry and upset and all of that bullshit that we tell ourselves in our monkey minds when someone doesn't do something that we want to say? So when you're working with friends, the communication is difficult. You don't want to break apart a friendship over work or business, and I think that happens so many times. I was very lucky that I wasn't able to allow that to happen, and we had some financial woes. I mean, there was like a point where I was like getting knocked on my door, and my apartment building was like, oh, you didn't pay your rent for 2 months, and you're being evicted. And I was like, oh, okay. And my business partner was responsible for the finances. I was like, there was a cop in my door. It was totally like a Magnum PI 80s moment, and I was like, I had to call her after, and oh, by the way, I was coaching a client while the cop was like knocking at my door. So I had to coach a client for a full 90 minutes and shaking and fully coach this person. And then when I got off the call, my piano tuner was coming in, and I was just like, dude, I just need a second. Got off the call with coaching. Piano tuner comes in, and I had to like text my girlfriend or call her and be like, did we not pay my rent for 2 months? And why didn't you tell me? Because I just got evicted. So it's just like these little things. But what I learned to do in that sort of situation, if you are having difficulty working with a friend, is be empathetic, be compassionate, and know your partner. Don't be surprised if they're doing something off if you know them, and get to know them more, get to know their habits and their bad ones and their good ones so that you can accept and acknowledge them. And, you know, what I feel like we really did well was understand each other, and we laughed through everything. I mean, there was a phallic joke for everything, because in chaos and disorder, if we don't smile, if we don't laugh, we let the shit get to the best of us. We let the muck rule our lives, right? We allow the challenges to become our lens. And then we get resentful to life. We become just hardened. And I think that working with friends, when people were like, don't do it, I said, I already know that it's going to be challenging, and I